Hello and welcome to episode 75 of Masters of the Forge. I'm Adam, and with me I have Jason.
Hello, everyone. Hello, Adam.
Hi. So this episode is a bunch of conversations we've had. Again, kind of like last week, sometimes in the bigger episodes, we would have many little segments interspersed with our hobby or our narrative discussions, and those really haven't always found their way in. So this week we have 2, maybe 3 interviews. Depends on whether someone shows up today, but I can say that the interviews we've had so far have been wonderful, and looking forward to getting them up. So Jason, thank you so much for all your help with the, I guess that's part of my hobby progress, and also your hobby progress was getting out last week's episode on the galactic news program, the morning news program. That was a lot of fun.
Oh, I loved editing that. I mean, I've enjoyed every episode that I've worked on, but that one was a chance for me really to kind of let loose with some of the other skills that I do as an audio editor and electroacoustic music composer. So,
yeah, that was a lot of fun. I want to do more stuff like that. I'm sure it was interesting for the listeners to have a single 15-minute episode that has absolutely nothing to do with anything. Except, it was kind of an audio drama, kind of not, and it was very much in the vein of, like I said in the beginning of that, a podcast called Welcome to Night Vale, which is an evening news radio show that comes out of a very strange little town in the Southwest. And,
yeah, I've started watching that or listening to that podcast now because of this, because of that episode. Because this sounds fun. So
it is, and it's cool, right? Like it's weird and cool. I guess it gets a little tiresome after a while, but it hasn't gotten tiresome for me yet. I think it's a lot of fun. 40K stuff that I've been doing, which is nothing. I put together, it's so sad. I bought one of the new trucks, the Gene Stealer Cult trucks. Whatever, the Goliath.
Yeah.
And I made my secret deep striking Santa model. I made a battle wagon out of it. I've always wanted to make a battle wagon out of it. I just didn't feel like doing it for myself and painting it and all that. I don't need more models. So this was a good opportunity to do a project and also participate in the Freebooter deep striking Santa thing. So it was
pretty
a lot
cool.
of fun. Yeah,
it's a great looking model.
It's
a great looking model. Whoever got that is one lucky dude or gal, whatever. They are lucky. They've got a cool thing coming at them.
Thanks. Yeah, I'm really proud of it. I think it's a lot of fun. There's plenty of room to pile works on top of it. I kind of stretched it like a limo. Like, you know how some people, they take like a Cadillac Escalade and then they'll chop it up and extend it. It's kind of like that. I cut all the side pieces, the long side pieces, the bottom piece and the top piece in half, and then used plasticard like polystyrene I-beams and stretched it, and then I added bits and other paneling. I also took the window screen and cut that up and put it on the top deck so it looks like some kind of grating. And I think it meshes well with the grating they already have. You know, the grating they already have is that steel with the divots. You know what I'm talking about, like steel sheeting. Yeah. But it still works pretty well with it. So I glued an orc with a big shooter on top, giving him the finger. And
that's cool.
Of course, I used the rock cutting version of the dozer blade because that thing is so rad. I had to. That looks so cool. And then the tires, it comes with 4 wheels, but but they come in halves, so I just didn't glue the wheels together. I just glued the halves onto the side of the truck, and you can't even tell. Yeah, you can't even tell that they're halves. It's pretty great. It's about the same length as a battle wagon. Yeah, oh yeah, I got rid of some choice bits on this model, so I hope they enjoy it. That was fun.
That's pretty cool.
My other hobby progress has been pretty much nil. I brought a bunch of terrain home to work on the Golden Sprue Cup terrain. I know John's been working on a lot of that stuff. Skip, he's helping me with the terrain. He's been working pretty hard on that. I haven't really touched it in a while, and I have to. This week, I'm definitely going to sit down and start working on it. I've been avoiding it. I've been playing like Diablo 3. Like it's nice not to have any projects. Like I completely failed to do any projects for November. I don't know. I just built a bunch of stuff. I didn't actually finish painting a model in November, so every hobby progress challenge I belong to is kind of a failure because I didn't do anything in November.
You have 4 days. You can do it.
I mean, I guess I can't. I could paint something, I guess. I'll look around. Maybe I have something I can paint.
Peer pressure, none at all.
Yeah, I mean, I guess the one for the independent characters, you're supposed to turn in an unpainted picture by the 15th. So, kind of failed that one, but I could still do something for 1 hour a night, I guess. I kind of was hoping to. I don't know. I'll look around. I probably do have a model I can build and paint or something. Anyways,
it's okay. You've painted so much this year and built so much this year that you can take this month off. It's no big deal,
Yeah, right. I should just be like, oh, the 1,000 points I painted for this month. Okay, half of it is going towards November.
Yeah,
right.
Right. Exactly. I mean, there's a point where you got to kind of throttle back so you can throttle forward later.
Yeah, I've been basically chilling, I really have been just trying to not overindulge in hobby for a little bit because I don't want to hate it. I don't want to be one of those people that takes up basketball as their career and then never wants to play it casually ever again. So,
yeah.
So that was my goal. I watched the new season of Gilmore Girls yesterday with the wife for her birthday. We went bowling. So I've been just kind of enjoying non-hobby related stuff past couple weeks, really.
That's cool. That is cool. That's needed. That's important. Keeps you human.
You've been working on some stuff though. Not just models, but community stuff too, right?
Yeah. So yesterday was the first game I've played since I've moved back to South Texas, and so I'm trying to figure out. Played against a guy named Alfredo. He played Eldar, which Eldar always give me a little bit of pause. And he brought a pretty good list. I had the most incredible dice rolls I've ever seen, and he had some really bad dice rolls, including D weapons that couldn't D. Like they couldn't hit and they couldn't damage either. So. But I'm trying to figure out how to build a community down here, and I'm going to be going with Kill Team and building the Zone Mortalis board. I bought the materials to build a new one, so I'll be doing that soon. But yeah, it was cool. I was talking to people, and everyone that I met was like, "Oh well, I've got 4,000 points of NIDS," or one guy I think had 8,000 points of NIDS, which kind of blew my mind. Another guy said I have all this big chaos army and an Inquisition army, and another guy had this, and I just kept meeting people who had big armies, but they kind of stopped playing at the beginning of 6th edition, and so I guess I'm going to have to be the hobby champion. I don't know. Yeah, so I'm going to have to be I'm gonna have to go through and build the community, and I'm cool with that. It's just not what I was expecting to do, but
Yeah.
and here we go. Here is what's the word I'm looking for? Not a spoiler, but an endorsement of the book that we read for this week's thing, this week's episode for Teri. Her book, what is it? The Civilized Guide to Tabletop Gaming is probably going to be my handbook for the next, few months, year while I rebuild the community. So, thanks, Teri, for writing that.
Yeah, that's going to be pretty helpful for you.
Yeah.
Going forward. Good luck with all your efforts on that, because I guess you're in one of those situations where if you don't build it, you won't be able to do it, right? You'll have to come up with something else to do, like building Lego train sets in your basement or something, which
I'm in South Texas. We don't have basements down here.
You don't have basements, yeah.
No. We have a water table.
Oh, wow, that's exciting.
Yeah, it's all fun and games until you're digging and go like, is that water? That could be a problem.
Other parts of Texas would say, oh yeah, that sounds like a first world problem to us.
Yeah. Well, let's see. Well, besides that, hobby progress. I have completed building the 30k Zone Mortalis Raven Guard army, and it's about 1250 to 1500 points. It's built so I can actually use that to do teaching games of Zone Mortalis and 30k. Let's see what else. Oh,
and it's 30k, right? So you're actually doing it as Raven Guard.
Yeah, it's Raven Guard. They are painted as Raven Guard. I've been working on getting that black armor done just right. Because I think we talked about it. Well, we didn't talk about it, but I know that some of the guys on Forge the Narrative talked about how you can paint black armor and it just doesn't look good. Or it looks good and it's, you put a lot of work into it, but people look at it and go, it's just primered. And so I'm trying to create a technique that will look good at both, 3 inches and 3 feet, which ain't easy.
Yeah, I'm a little scared myself. Like my other projects, that my methodology seemed to work all right, but I'm feeling a little concerned that it's not going to work with these giant models. So, like the silver, I don't have a problem with. I'm pretty sure the oil wash over the bolt gun is going to be fine.
Yeah.
But the black, I am actually fairly concerned about how I'm going to do these rounded edges, and have them fade well into the black.
Yeah.
I'm going to definitely be looking at some tutorials on that subject, because I don't want it to look bad. I want it to look really good. And I can't do that by just saying screw it and painting murals on every panel, because no.
Yeah. Well, there's a little bit of time into that also, Murals take a wee bit.
I'm going to do some. I'm definitely doing murals, just not on every freaking panel.
Oh, come on, man. Live a little. You'll hate yourself later, but it'll be so beautiful. Actually, you won't hate yourself later. You'll hate yourself immediately, but,
Yes. Absolutely.
All right, let's see what else. Okay, the Venator. The Sicaran Venator. I'm finally painting
the ventilator?
Yeah, that one. I'm going to take out your super heavy Monsters of Doom. So I'm going to finish painting that before I do any other hobby-related stuff. So it will be done by next week. Mm-hmm. It will be finished because it needs to be. It is a beautiful model to paint, though. I mean, resin's fun to paint. Not to build, but to paint. Let's see.
Tell me about it. Freaking knights and their stupid all broken freaking miscast. Stupid. I had a giant miscast on my knight.
Oh, really?
What is it? My knight. Starts with an A. Not the Atropo. I don't have one of those. Knight. Whatever. The one with the super flamer cannon.
Yeah.
Its kneecap. Like it basically the lower part of the leg, the top section of that has 2 circles on either side, and the which creates a groove to put the upper section in. So it's like, 3 circles next to each other, and the knee can bend and put it in whatever. There had been such terrible slippage that the one of the circles in that joint was not even on the model anymore.
Whoa. Okay. Yeah, that's
it was pretty bad. So a normal person would call up Forge World and say, "Hey, I hear that you send people entire models when their thing is broken. Please send me more things." I, on the other hand, am like, no. First of all, I can fix this. I'm not going to be a jerk. Second of all, I am way too impatient to wait for another model to show up. So I feel it would have shown up already by now, and I had to fix that, and I basically sculpted like an entire piece almost to get it right.
Yeah.
That was
I had all
bad.
those. I had that scarring from the resin gates,
God.
and that was the reason I was like, I hadn't painted it. I'd stopped working on it, and so I finally just sat down last week and said, "You know what? I'm just doing this. We're doing it live." And so, and so I took a couple of Grey Knight book icons and shaved the swords off and shaved off the eye and the skull on there for the Inquisition, and then just glued them over, and they were about the same size.
You go. Perfect.
And it is Blood Ravens.
See?
Yeah.
Fantastic. Yeah, and I do still have a lot of sanding to do. And I was sitting there sanding these pieces, no mask on, like a jerk.
Yeah.
Like, how much cancer am I putting in myself right now? I don't even know. But
yeah,
I played
against
kind
of my fear too.
I played against Phil with them on Monday. I brought him to game night, and some new people showed up, and they're like, "Wow, 40K has changed." I'm like, "Yeah, but I would never bring this. I would never bring this to a pickup game. This is something you plan for." And they're like, "Well, who are you playing tonight?" And I'm like, "I don't know yet." And they're like, "So," I'm like, "Well, no, I was probably gonna play Phil, so that doesn't count."
Aww. We love you, Phil, if you listen to us. We love you.
No, we had set up I forgot. We had actually quasi set up a game of, he was using the Imperial Army list. So he played that against me. And he had a bunch of las cannons and a bunch of strength 10 mortars. So he could have done some stuff, but for some reason, apparently I'm super good at making 4-up saves. All those years playing orcs, I guess, have started reaping benefits, because I was making 4-up saves like a bizos, and that's about the size and shape of that one. That game was he did kill 2 of my knights.
Hey, good on Phil, man.
Then I killed everything else.
Well, yeah, because that's knights.
It was fun.
If I was
going
to play, go ahead.
It was fun playing one of the new missions. Or not new missions, one of the 30k missions. That's the first time I've played one of those. My first time playing 30k, but I feel like a scumbag. I've brought unpainted armies the past 2 weeks, so I'm going to have to put together an orcs list for tomorrow, because I can't be bringing unpainted armies to the game store. I just can't do it anymore.
Yeah, well, I've discovered with my stuff being painted and with my kind of extreme basing, quote unquote, that it really caught a lot of attention when I brought them in yesterday. In fact, my opponent, who didn't have everything painted, we've decided we're going to go ahead and start doing these kill team games, but he's going to bring just painted models because he wants to take pictures. So
that's cool. Yeah, that's great. That's a great start, dude.
Yeah,
that's awesome.
Going to be that hobby champion.
Gonna do it. Yeah. Anything else you've been working on, man?
I read through the Legacy of Rust short stories. I think it's Legacy of Rust. It's the 8 short stories for Warzone Fenris that come in a bundle. They're pretty good. I mean, there are a lot of action. There's not a whole lot of plot development. I'm kind of curious if this is a novelization of the campaign book for the first Warzone of Fenris. What book?
When you haven't quite read that one yet, though, right?
I don't have the... What is that? That's Space Wolves and some demons, right? I don't have that book. Because I'm more interested in the Wrath of Magnus book, because Thousand Suns.
So this is what we're going to do. Next week, we're going to be doing Curse of the Wolfen in the lore. It's going to be a longer episode, but I think that's okay, because we're going to take a week or two off for the holidays. Probably 2 weeks. I would say let's take 2 weeks off for the holidays just to recharge. I can get working on terrain and not have to worry about the podcast for a little while. But we're going to leave you off with a really great couple of episodes on Fenris and what's happening there during the time of ending. John's brother, Brandon, is letting me borrow his book. So I'll read through that and make some notes, and then you can chime in with your experiences from reading the series, and then we can come together and talk about On Your Tabletop. I'm trying to get a game in with John next weekend for our first episode of Masters of the Forge Altar of War, which will appear on the Freebooters Network. I have to get together some images and stuff for Terrace so he can post that stuff on his website, and we have to get together and figure out. John and I are going to get together and actually play one of the games from the book, from the Fenris book.
That'll be good. And
what we'll do is I think I'm going to try to convince him to do a live stream on Facebook while we play.
Yeah.
And then we'll record. We'll record our thoughts on the game as it progresses, and that'll be the podcast. But we'll also be doing that live stream, so if people want to watch us play this narrative game, they can.
Cool. That'll be awesome.
Yeah, I think
I'll
it'll
watch.
be fun. Nice.
I'll watch. I'll even wear pants.
All right. Yeah, what else? Yeah, you don't have to wear pants. What else are you going to do on a Sunday? Whatever. So I think that's about it, right? I think we're good.
Yeah.
Greetings, mofos.
Are you out of George Dickel number 8, staring at a broken chess machine?
Well, don't want to spend the rest of the year tied to that couch?
Well, why don't you head on over to the 1 Hour a Night Facebook page and see what exciting stuff is going on there. It's a place to post all your daily progress in the hobby grind, as well as receive and give positive feedback. Also, there are usually a few interesting challenges going on.
That's right. All you have to do is search for 1 Hour a Night on Facebook. That's numeral 1 Hour a Night, all one word. Blood serum tests will be administered prior to approval.
Se til helvete og kom dere vekk. Det ikke bikkje, det en slags ting. Den imiterer bikkje, men det ikke det. Kom dere vekk, idioter!
What he said. Hey, Masters of the Forge listeners, are you looking to expand your Warhammer 40,000 gaming group?
Do you want to start a 40k club in your area?
Do you want the people you attract to be like-minded mofos?
Do you want to advertise your YouTube channel?
Or even attract more subscribers to your hobby blog or online community?
Then what better way than to advertise on the Masters of the Forge podcast?
All we ask of you is that you email us at mastersoftheforge@gmail.com or message us on Facebook with a full text of your advertisement, including the region in which you live and any contact information people can use to get a hold of you.
We will have one of our many tech servitors read your advertisement on the air. We promise not to make fun of you.
Though we can't always predict the actions of our servitors, you really can't find good help these days.
No, you can't. Welcome back. Thanks for joining us again. And with me, I have Jason.
Hello.
And also now in the official online hobby gender neutral cave, we have Teri. Hi, Teri.
Howdy.
Teri, how do you say your last name?
Litorico.
Okay. That's exactly how it's spelled, so there we go.
Yeah.
Well, thanks for joining us, Teri. I really, really appreciate it. You just put out a book which has caught on like gangbusters in the hobby community, and that's why we wanted to have you on finally, give you a chance to talk about it. But first, I kind of want to talk about who you are. if the listeners somehow don't know who you are, I'd like you to give us an idea of what it is that you feel your significance is in the greater hobby community, like online and at events.
Okay, well, I've got a few distinguishing elements to my hobby kind of background. So to start off, I was the second female ever employed by Games Workshop Canada in the retail division, which I think has been a really formative element to everything else that I've done. I've run tournaments in the local scene, but kind of most notably and most recently, I got onto Geek and Sundry, first on the YouTube channel, the Geek and Sundry Vloggers channel, as the wargaming vlogger. And when they moved away from YouTube to Twitch, I moved on to the geekandsundry.com blog, creating content for them that way. And since then, I've also started doing other kind of side projects, one of which was the book, but also doing game reviews and that sort of thing as well, in all sorts of places online.
That's great. Yeah, I'm sure all the listeners voted for you in the Geek and Sundry Vlogger contest.
I hope they did. There was like, I don't know how many people who entered that thing. I was the only one who was talking about mini war games.
Yeah.
And I'm like, guys, this isn't that rare. I mean, so many of the people who entered were like, hey, I play war games. I've got 40K. Come on.
Yeah, it does seem, well, we are, as we are wont to say, we are a niche of a niche, and, but, we have to be more prevalent than that.
Well, I mean, you can't have, I refuse to believe that Games Workshop has become a huge enough company that investors talk about Games Workshop as a sound investment or not, because, we're a niche of a niche. We are not historical gamers. We're not we're a big market. I just think that we tend to be in hiding, and a lot of the minis that we have, the way I found miniature wargaming, are kind of stored up in a closet, hidden in a box that could very easily be confused for a stash of porn.
Right? Like, I have to hide my shame.
That is actually how I got introduced to miniature wargaming, actually. I was living with my partner at the time, who I eventually married, and we were moving out of our apartment, and I found this box in the corner, in the top corner, and I'm really short. I'm 4'8". So I was looking at this thing going, what is he hiding in there? And I pull this box out.
No, look at that. Look at the porn box. Look at the porn box.
I expected it to be heavy, because this is 2003. So the internet was still not a thing that it is a thing. So I'm expecting this to be a heavy, full of magazines thing, and it's light and it's making this rattling noise. And we look into this box, and it's a box full of the worst painted Tyranids I've ever seen in my life. And they're literally they are paint. It looked like the Tyranids had tasted the rainbow, because they were the color of Skittles. This is why you probably shouldn't buy secondhand sometimes. You never know what you're gonna get. So yeah.
That's really funny. Now I know why he's so salty. He played Tyranids.
Just don't mention the name Robin Credis.
Fantastic. Now,
Good to know.
Go ahead. Okay, so the first time we met was at Adepticon, I think. I was just wandering around. Yeah, I was wandering around. I'm like, I want to play something. Wait a minute, this game has spaceships? And you sat me down with a really friendly dude who taught me how to play Star Trek Attack Wing, and I brought that to our store. And we played that a lot. We started doing the event packs and stuff. And the year after that, I actually ran a event for Star Trek Attack Wing, which you helped me promote. I really appreciate that, by the way.
I mean, it's one of those things where my love of that universe is so deep that anything with the word Star Trek on it, I just have to try, even if it's not perfect. And I think that Star Trek Attack Wing is a fantastic game. when it's contained, right? When you kind of
yeah.
let the meta go, it kind of gets crazy. But like as a contained game, as a game with the scenario packs, oh my god, there is no game out there that has those pre-painted ships. Like no spaceship game out there has the same kind of level of story and thoughtfulness that you have in one of those. You get a blister pack now of Star Trek Attack Wing. Still the scenarios are in it, and still those scenarios are fun as hell.
You know, and your video with Harry playing it with Harry Kim.
Oh
That's
my
not
gosh,
his real name.
right?
What's his real name? I always forget.
It is Garrett Wong.
Okay.
And the A is pronounced O. So I had to actually do a retake on that introduction because his PR person didn't tell me. So here I was pronouncing it incorrectly.
No.
But yeah, it's Garrett Wong.
Okay, yeah, that was really cool. Actually having Garrett Wong playing Star Trek Attack Wing. You should be better at this. Oh, that's fantastic. That is really cool. Okay, so you wrote a book, and I think it's excellent. Like the whole concept of this book. I sure hope people pick it up, especially people who need to pick it up, because I feel like there's some messages in here that really help people. So what were you going for when you started writing this book? What sparked the idea of, I think this needs to happen. I think this needs to be out in the world. What made you conceive of this thing?
Well, a publisher approached me and said, "Hey, Teri, we saw this article you did on etiquette gaming in cons, and we want you to write a book in that same kind of like helpful style. And so they approached me, and I was like, I think I can do that, because the idea of making gaming about people and not about the game has always been something that has been a consistent theme throughout what I've always done. Myself as a gamer, myself as a tournament organizer, as a content creator, games are the conduit of the experiences we share. They're not the experience we share. And so I wanted to write a guide that emphasized what it was that we were actually sharing, that kind of codified how we can make gaming better without necessarily focusing on the games themselves. And so that's what the book is. It's called The Civilized Guide to Tabletop Gaming. People assume that it's an etiquette book. I like to think of it more like a strategy guide when it comes to navigating the tabletop world. But yeah, that's kind of the premise of it, was to create a handbook of situations that people will normally encounter in gaming, whether that's gaming with family or gaming at cons or just shopping at the local gaming store, right. And trying to make that experience a little easier and not have to go through all of the situations I've personally gone through to make that happen. There's a lot of stories in that book. A lot of those stories are, the names have been changed, but I can say for a fact that I am a cautionary tale in so many ways. So that's kind of a lot of what it's been drawn from. That's
great. Yeah, you can tell. I think a lot of folks when we initially pushed the promotion, because you posted it, and then a bunch of people, of course, had to share it. The assumption was that it was just a kind of a flat etiquette guide, which first of all, you know, when you're looking at things like Emily Post, it's not just which fork to use, which, you know what I'm saying? It's everything having to do with interaction with other human beings. And this book is very much, not just about putting on deodorant, but when you go to the con, it's also about building a community, and it's also about, you know, how to deal with other people who might be difficult to deal with in a creative and adult fashion. And I thought that was really cool. It's a lot wider than the title would suggest.
And I think that's a real compliment. Because I mean, even when I talk about, and I do talk about like interacting with people online in in forums and such. Yeah. Because so much of what we do, even today, when we're not playing games, we're talking about games, we're sharing that passion with other people. A lot of that happens online. And even if we have an understanding of how that relationship needs to work and how that structure works, it really helps just give a broader perspective on how we conduct ourselves as gamers.
Right. Yeah. It does it does tell you which fork to use, though. It does have that. Because you got you talk about being a good winner, being a good loser. My goddaughter, for example, she's up. My buddy actually this weekend told me just this weekend, he's like, she is the worst winner ever. I'm like, I just read a book. That might be a trait of the species. Gamer kids may not be great about winning.
Oh my gosh. Like I'm a terrible winner. Someone I threw up a little gif of a joke of mini wargaming Dave and I. Mm-hmm. We filmed a thing a couple years ago of me winning a game and then him flipping the table essentially. But that style of elation mm-hmm. is not something that I have never done before. I have done a 360 jump mm-hmm. in excitement for winning a game. I have done the air punches. I'm a terrible winner, and I'm the first to admit that. Mm-hmm. And recognizing that in my daughter, which was like a revelation to me. This is the way I was able to see how bad of a winner I was when she started doing the things I was doing. It made me reevaluate how I approach the game and how I approach that moment in time and how I can make that better for the other person.
Yeah, I often find myself cheering on my orcs a little too much sometimes. Anytime they actually win a sweeping advance roll, I am standing on the table leg, the table crossboard, cheering. Good job! You did it! I'm not sure. Right? I'm not sure what my opponent is thinking at that time because I think I'm only thinking about myself. Pretty sure that's what's happening.
It's so funny because I think ultimately we all have those moments, right? Mm. Where we're pressed up against the wall and the feeling of the momentum and the relief all kind of hits you at the same time, especially when games are tense, right? When games are close, when you're walking into a game thinking, I'm going to lose. Oh my God, I'm going to win. There are moments in the game where we feel that, and it's not wrong to feel that, but at the same time, at the end of the game, that's not the time to be rubbing that in. That's the time to be saying, dude, that was awesome. You had me against the wall. I was terrified. I was sweating bullets. And those are the moments that your opponent can appreciate as well, because we've all had those moments too, where just sometimes it's as simple as a dice roll, right?
Yeah, it's sometimes not just sometimes, all the time, the closest games are the most fun games. And if you can cheer along with your opponent, that's what I at least try to do that. I at least try to, if they do something unexpected and awesome, I want to try to make sure that they know that I like that at least as much as they do.
And I think that's the thing, right? Even giving voice to that and saying, oh my God, that is so horrible for me. Good job.
Yeah.
It makes people feel good about a game isn't just the outcome, right? It's that whole process in between. So if you have little wins in between, the ultimate outcome may be one way or another, but if you have little victories throughout, it doesn't feel like the shit sandwich are kind of dealt with, right?
Absolutely. You got it. So, and sometimes you can even calculate, some people talk about these, okay, I'm not going to win this game, but I'm going to have a moral victory. I'm going to plot out my path to a moral victory,
The Pyrrhic victory is a great victory, right?
Yeah.
I don't think people have as much of an appreciation for it as they can, because sometimes it's just about I need to do this because it's fun. Mm-hmm. And whether or not I win or lose for it, it doesn't matter, because I need to do this because it's fun.
That's true. Yeah, absolutely. So one of my favorite parts of the book, I'm gonna leave a lot more to the imagination so that folks pick up the book on their own and read through it, because there's a lot of great anecdotes and a great amount of detail in the book explaining why things are done the way they are, particularly things having to do with why we have this trope of pay where you play, stuff like that. But one of my favorite parts of the book was the gaming with family. I wasn't expecting this part of the book. It wouldn't have occurred to me to put something like this in here. You have a whole chapter devoted to gaming with your family and exposing your family to new things, and I thought that was a really cool section.
I think given the fact that I am in a household where we have a lot of gamers, like the three of us game, the majority of my games are had with my partner. Like we, like, which is fortunate because we play a lot of mini war games, so 2-player games are like the thing we love. Yeah. I think that the approach to that and sharing that passion with the people you care about, that you reside with, it helps foster that as well, right? Like.
Right. Yeah. So, absolutely.
And I think also there's a reflection in there about just how much I've learned going through that process of gaming with your family, in that, there are certain games like Nathan will not play with me anymore. I have ruined them. And through that process, I have learned not to ruin future games that I may want to play again. Just because it's a little bit of a different thing, right? Like, you play werewolf with your significant other and you look at them and say, I don't believe you. I'm shooting you in the face. There's a problem, right? There are certain consequences to that. You have to be thoughtful of those human consequences beyond the outcome of the game.
I can't tell you how many times my wife's dwarf barbarian Ingrid put the killing blow on one of my dragons. It's very sad. She doesn't play D&D with us anymore.
There are certain things you kind of expect in that relationship too, right? Like, there is a particular recognition that when I play with my group of friends, I am never going to be the healer. Yeah. And when my husband plays games with me, whether they're online games or they're role-playing games, I cannot be the healer. I am not a good healer because I'm not aware enough of other people's health stats. So it's just a bad idea, right?
Yep. And as I was reading, I'm like, we have a little something in common there. There's so many times we're sitting at the table or at any time where I'm just like, don't mess with her, don't mess with her, don't mess with her, don't mess with her. But I can't help myself. And then I wonder if, I think Jason's seen it at least a couple times where she just slowly turns her head towards me like the mother alien at the end of Aliens and gives me this look, and I'm just like, oh, maybe that was a bad thing to say. I can't help but poke the bear. You gotta poke the bear.
The words of my house are always be trolling, and so I can't help myself sometimes, and sometimes it's the wrong moment. Sometimes you just choose the wrong moment, right? So
yeah. Okay, so what else do we you have a giant section on attending conventions, which is really, really helpful. I think anyone who's listening to this and who's thinking about attending Adepticon or any of the other great cons out there, Las Vegas Open, etc., you could pick up the book just for this, because you don't think about a lot of things actively before you go to the con. And sure, you'll slowly figure it out over a couple of years, but to be honest, this is almost the definitive guide of stuff to think about, to do, and to bring. A lot of it's common sense, but you gotta have common sense, but most of it comes from experience. And
right? Thank you for saying that. I mean, I think that even then, some of it is just like, hey, what are you doing there? How come it never occurred to me to do that? Mm-hmm. So whenever I go to Adepticon now, if I see guys standing on bath mats, I'm taking credit for it. Mm-hmm. That's what I'm going to do.
Yo. I wrote that down. That is in my notes. Memory foam bath mat. What? I would have never brought a memory foam bath mat. I got 2 in my kitchen. Why am I not bringing these to
Brilliant
conventions? What the hell?
That is a brilliant idea.
God damn it!
You stand in your kitchen for 45 minutes. You're like, oh, my knees hurt. You play a game for like 8 hours straight,
Yeah.
standing at a table. Come on, guys. Like, and I learned that through experience because I used to wear heels to conventions. Right. Okay, so like, you know, the little things that you don't expect. Like, I think part of it too came out of the fact that I am married to a wargamer. I am myself a wargamer. All my friends are wargamer. We go to conventions together. We know at a tournament, you're going to have to hand in result sheets. You know how many gamers have a pen in their bag. If you can't even have a pen in your bag, you're probably, you know, unless you have a list of things to just follow. Like, this is the normal thing. You know, rules, dice, models, pen, bath mat, change of underwear, deodorant. Like, these are little things that will make your life feel better. Yeah, absolutely. And, you know, one of the things is also on the zombie apocalypse to-do list. Hydrate. Oh, for God's sake, hydrate. That is so important. Like it doesn't, you know, it doesn't increase the stench like beer does. Also, you'll be a lot happier if you hydrate. You'll have less of a chance of getting con crud. You'll be able to talk at the end of the day. Your body needs the water to process. It's like gasoline for a fire. It needs that oxygen in order to process the food you're eating. Like, you'll feel so much better if you hydrate. We forget that, though. Like, I mean, I think it's one of those things where, like, you know, eating and drinking, just taking care of yourself, we forget that. But, like, I read something that said, like, a chess grandmaster in focusing, the mental act of playing chess, he is burning the same amount of calories as an Olympic athlete. It's like 3,500 calories a day at that intensity. If you're gaming at that kind of intensity, if you're playing with that kind of focus and processing and just planning and doing all the things that a wargaming tournament will demand of you, if you're not eating and drinking, you are performing below your abilities. Oh, yes. You know? Absolutely. So, it you know, beyond all of that, even if you don't buy into the con cred and you've never got con cred before, think about it like fueling your body like an athlete. Think about it in that sense as well, because you will perform better and you'll enjoy yourself more. Yeah, how many of us, I can't quote the actual numbers, but apparently your brain uses a vast amount of calories. Like, a large percent of the calories you take in goes directly to the processing of thought. Absolutely. I believe it. I mean, you know, and again, they've done those studies showing that, like, when people, even a game like chess, like, people at the highest levels of chess, people who dedicate themselves to chess, the way that, say, a wargamer dedicates themselves to their hobby, they're putting in a massive amount of energy just in a single game. You know, you have a 12-hour day at a tournament. Of course you're going to be, like, hurting. You're like, we've all done the tournament days where we're just wiped, just completely wiped. We know this intuitively, but nobody's ever said to me, hey, you should eat. Like, this is going to help you play games better. You should eat and drink and, you know, be comfortable. Like, you know, be comfortable and practice self-care. Yeah, absolutely. So another interesting thing about the convention experience that you write about, I'll just give the title of the chapter called Ditch the Click, which I think I would have the most, I mean, I love making friends, but I find that to be a very interesting concept of trying to detach yourself from the group that you came to visit or the group that you came with and trying to make some new friends. I think that our communities are stronger when we make those kind of loose connections with other people, right? Yes. You know, a friend of a friend or a common kind of acquaintance circle, even if you have a group of friends and someone else comes in, take the time to meet that new person and engage that way. I think tournaments are great for that. They're like speed dating, I guess.
Oh yeah, no, they absolutely
for
are.
gamers, right? Those little things that you involve yourself with, whether that's signing up for an event where you're playing people you don't know, or jumping into demo games with people who are different than you. That sort of experience kind of will broaden your horizons and give you opportunities to connect with people, find out about cool new things. It'll grow you as a gamer in a way you will not expect. And it's always nice to have someone on Facebook who will show you a different Kickstarter that's super hot and new, or a different game that you've never heard of.
Yeah.
Just because their circle is different, and you can be that for them too, right? Like I think that the cross-pollination of gamers is still something that we're starting to see now. And because gaming is so localized, that's why regional metas develop in mini war games, because we play them on a table where we share air with the other person. Taking the time to kind of broaden that acquaintance circle will give you more perspective on your game, as well as the hobby as a whole. And I think that's always a good thing.
Yeah, and that stands true for anything, right? We all our Facebook accounts are full of people who agree with us. And it's nice. Mm-hmm. It's nice. I mean, not every tabletop encounter is going to be a great tabletop encounter, but the reward is well worth the risk. A couple hours.
That's exactly it.
It's only a couple hours out of your life, right?
So, and I mean, I've had bad games. Don't get me wrong. I've had bad games, but some of the games I've had, which were not great games, I've also gotten to know the people afterwards and formed bonds with them that I would have never suspected based on that game too, right? I try not to judge people by how they play on the table, especially with the games that I play now, like games like War Machine. There's just not enough time to be social. That's not a social game. Mm-hmm. It's more like chess in any way. 40K is a lot more. I feel like 40K as a whole is a lot more. There's a shared joy of the universe that I feel like 40K gamers have. That's not necessarily present in War Machine, because a lot of those players come from a Magic the Gathering background, and those people don't necessarily care about the universe the same way either. Mm-hmm. But at the table, you will have a certain experience. Outside the table, when you start talking about the things that you share in common, whether or not you are the same or different, whether or not you agree in terms of politics, or you have the same, professional background or whatever, that difference will give you that different perspective, and that difference will enrich you in some way, whether or not you get validation from finding out that there's someone who believes that you believe that Matt Ward is the greatest codex writer ever, or not, or you find someone whose perspective is interesting, different but interesting.
Yeah, you're absolutely right, and I don't think it's any secret. I am definitely what you would refer to as a card carrying liberal, and I don't know how many listeners we've lost because they decided to follow me on Facebook, but. Having said that, and as a young person, I thought, well, there aren't any conservatives in gaming. Can't possibly be. They can't possibly have the same likes and dislikes that I have. They all do insert, stereotypical activity here. Clearly, I was wrong. Clearly, I was a prejudiced asshole, because there are plenty of people of varying political standpoints in Warhammer 40,000 and gaming in general, and you can learn a lot from people who have different viewpoints from you and maybe challenge your own preconceived notions. And it's beautiful. It's a beautiful world.
I mean, I think if your beliefs can't stand up to interrogation from someone who disagrees with you, maybe you should reevaluate your own beliefs, right?
Absolutely.
And I think those people make for a great sounding board on that. I mean, you don't have to agree on everything to be friends with people, right? Like, I have so many friends. I am an outspoken feminist. Like, I went to school and I studied women's studies, for goodness sake. Like, I have a political science background, so I have very strong political beliefs. I have people who don't subscribe to the same reality I do in terms of the politics and the governance of what I think would be right. But that doesn't mean that we don't share the same understanding of what the hardships are that we all face, or you know, what it is to raise like a young gamer, right? The people who may disagree with me about, you know, about certain aspects of you know, female models in wargaming, for example. Those people still share the same struggles of like raising a child in this world so that they're not a crappy winner. And those moments are things that we can relate to and understand, right?
Yeah, and I think those are some of the best parts of the book as well. Anything, all the sections on building a group and nurturing a community, I think those are all points well taken. Teaching games. It's the simple matter of teaching a game to someone. One of the notes that you have discuss, and this is something I've learned over the years, and your friends don't always get what you're trying to do, and that is to give them a very brief turn at the game or a very brief rundown of the game. And you'll always invariably have someone, yeah, but you can do this. I'm like, yeah, I know you can do that, but let's just get the basics down first, and then we'll add all the little pieces afterwards. You can kind of break a game down into its core components, explore those core components, and then add details as you go. And I thought another really great idea was, if you want to teach someone this complex game, find a less complex game that's almost the same thing and teach them that first. That's mind-blowing. That was such a great idea.
I mean, it's funny because, like, you know, there are so many games out there that use the mechanics that we have in, whether that's complex board games or mini wargaming. Like, if I was going to get someone into miniature wargaming, it wouldn't be hard to kind of help them get into that world using a game with great components that has movement and activations and like that a specific turn sequence, and that's not hard to teach. But when you throw them into the deep end with like a 40k army, you know, they're gonna drown, right?
Yep.
So it's trying to find those steps in between. It's one of the reasons why I have a pretty broad collection of like those hybrid games now. These games that look like Zombicide, Blood Rage, Ninja All-Stars. These are games that have those little elements present in wargaming that someone who maybe has played a little bit of say, you know, Monopoly or Risk or some of the big Hasbro, Parker Brothers style games, could get into one of these games, not be too intimidated, learn something, and then could eventually see themselves playing games that are a little more complex, a little longer, a little more invested in terms of like buying and personalizing the miniatures. And that's kind of the deal. You don't want to drop someone in like at the deep end. It was one of those things where it was something I learned back when I worked for Games Workshop, right? Like, when you start someone off, it's easy to sell them a starter set or a core, like a core box of that's easy to pick up, right? Like a little paint and a paint and model set box. You don't then just jump in and say, okay, here's the starter set, here's the big hardback rule book, here's the primer, here's all the paints you're going to need to paint everything in there. And all of a sudden they're staring at this pile of stuff that's $500 going, I don't know if I want to do this anymore.
Right.
It's kind of the same thing when you're trying to teach people the game. You know, you don't pile on like, you know, a huge, you know, 200-page rule book on top of someone when you can show them like a version that is like a 20-page rule book. Looks kind of similar. It has a very similar feel, but isn't as complicated.
Yeah, I think the Kill Team box set is almost that. I think if you game master a game of Kill Team between two new players, I think that is the secret sauce for 40K at the moment.
I think that's why I'm so excited about the resurgence of the specialist games kind of side, right? Mm-hmm. As they do that stuff more and more, we're going to start seeing more games that are kind of self-contained. Mm-hmm. That are great gateways.
Yeah.
Just to break in real quick, I just moved recently, Teri, and so I've moved back to my hometown, or at least my home region, and 40K it's not played as much anymore. It used to be played, but now it's kind of dying, or it died a few years ago. And so I'm trying to rebuild the community, and one of the things I'm using is I'm going to start working with the Kill Team and getting people back into it. Yesterday I had my first game in like months, and everyone came up to me and said, "Oh, I have 4,000 points of Tyranids. I have 8,000 points of Tyranids. I have, 10,000 points of Chaos," but no one plays because I guess the 6th edition rule set bothered people. But I'm thinking I can get people back using Kill Team.
I mean, I think the beauty of Kill Team 2 is it's so condensed that the things that people didn't like about 6th edition, whether that was like the perception of strength D or whatever else, like the big, huge, Imperial Knights or the notion of pay to play, that is gone when you play a game this small, right? All that stuff is gone, and you can enjoy the purity of miniature wargaming in that moment, which is the universe, the movement, the dice,
the characters,
and the characters, right? Like there's the investment. I think that's what it is. You feel, and one of the reasons why I love such small games, I love skirmish games, I love games where it feels small enough that you could name every model and remember their names, is because when you lose one of those models, you feel it. You feel it in a way that you're just like, oh my God, I can't believe, I don't know what I'm going to do. Those moments help that investment, right? And I think that, when you have people taking mittfuls of orcs or Tyranids off the table, there's a certain disconnect that happens with that. And I think that, Kill Team is absolutely a great way to bring those people who are disenchanted by the massiveness of 6th edition back into 40K, which is the purity of that game, right?
Yeah.
Yeah. So, without going too much into the rest of the topics, I think there's a lot more that you can get from this book as well. I mean, there's a whole section on role-playing games, conducting role-playing games, GMing, characters. For example, a great piece of advice from that section is making a playable character. I had a buddy, Johnny, who used to, when we were younger, he would build the Crow. He would build Eric Draven, and no one could interact with his character because he just wanted to stand on rooftops and brood. And that was about it. So, it's that kind of thing that you got to think about when making your characters and when dealing with people and stuff like that. So there's a great whole entire section on that, and entire sections on putting on events that I am actually finding rather useful for my upcoming GT, and I think folks would do a lot worse than spending a few bucks on this book and taking an afternoon and reading it, because I think it's wonderful.
Well, thank you. I mean, my goal was to kind of just make a book that people could pick up and find something useful in it wherever they are in their hobby path, whether that is, just starting out, learning about tabletop gaming, having already shopped the Barnes & Noble section and looking at something deeper and more interesting and visiting the friendly local gaming store for the first time. Or whether that's people who have been in so long and they're starting to look at, what is my hobby now? Is my hobby enabling others to enjoy the hobby? Or am I a hobby champion? Am I ready for this? And whatever that is in between, right?
Yeah, I think those hobby champions out there, at the very least, should pick up this book and read it. And if you're the one who does that, at least you can impart that knowledge on the rest of the people in your group or the rest of the people that follow you.
I mean, I think that's the hope, anyways.
Mm-hmm. So, Teri, before we let you go, I want to know: what are you working on now? Do you have anything coming up? And is there anything you want to plug before you go?
Other than the book, which just came out, the title is A Civilized Guide to Tabletop Gaming. But right now I'm working on this next year is kind of going to be dedicated to gaming. So I'm working on getting out to the cons and doing that sort of stuff. Adepticon, Gen Con, Origins, CMON Expo, like those cons I'm hoping to get at in the next coming year. I'm still blogging for Geek and Sundry, so if you're looking for something interesting, definitely check that stuff out. A lot of that stuff has kind of a broader geek appeal, and I know wargamers as a whole, we're not just wargamers, we're like the most passionate of geeks. So whether it is, war games, wargaming isn't the only fandom we have, right? Mm-hmm. So there's a lot there. I'm doing reviews, or I'm doing stuff on my my side podcast that is done with a tabletop gamer by the name of Bibo. She's the editor of GameWire.com, called The Board Dames, where we talk about kind of being women in tabletop gaming with families and how we incorporate our geek life into that kind of thing. I like to think of it as a less mom blog, geek mom blog, kind of like less focus on the mom part, more focus on the geek part.
Yeah, but it's part of your life, so right, like
it is absolutely
for that perspective.
Exactly, and like I know for a fact that there are a lot of geeks out there who are parents and trying to navigate that world, right? Whether that is the lessons I have learned from accidentally leaving the paintbrushes and paint out when my child was in that exploring age.
Well, there goes $50.
Oh my gosh, right? Like you're just like, well, how about that? To what it is to feel when your child actually paints their first model, that sense of pride. And then making use of that to get your child to eventually base coat your models, which is a very good use. Those are all little bits that are encompassed in the Board Dames. And yeah, I'll hopefully be in the next year also freelancing for more geek-oriented sites.
That would be sweet. No, do you even have the time or to take the gender studies path and writing a book about gaming and gender, or is that just?
Honestly, I could talk about the anecdotes and that sort of stuff, but the fact of the matter is my focus is on the actionable. Right? So I don't think of myself as an academic. I think of myself as an activist. So when I tell people, like, if I figure I'm going to complain about X, Y, or Z, if I don't have a plan of action and I can't encourage other people to, whether that's encouraging sculptors or game publishers to be better, or, like things like giving useful information to tournament organizers. Like, hey, if you want your event to be more accessible to women, think about these things, right? Like if you're going to have late night gaming, have you thought about late night escorts to people's cars in the parking? Yeah. Like those are the little things that I think that people forget, that are cool, right?
Yeah. And you again, you talk about in the book, you talk about like, don't just come to somebody like an organizer with complaints. You need to come with ways that you think they can fix the perceived problem, right? And but part of that is also helping people understand that they're, explaining why there's a problem and why their preconceived notions may be wrong. And I think maybe some kind of resource for some of us in the hobby to understand I guess I'm having a hard time explaining. Like some people, a lot of stuff comes from ignorance, which there's a cure for that, right? Like people aren't stupid. A lot of people aren't terrible. They're not terrible people. They just don't get it. You know what I'm saying? And it would be good to have a way to explain why things are the way they are and how we can fix them, you know? But
I think
is that one person's goal? Or is that one person's job? Probably not.
I mean, I think like there are blind spots to everyone too, though, right? As long as I approach every conversation I have with empathy, every interaction I have with empathy, that I feel like I can be a better gamer and I can be a better advocate for people who want to get into gaming, but find this not necessarily this aspect or that aspect not necessarily the right fit for them.
Yeah.
You know, and I don't think that what we do is we narrow gaming by banning this or fixing that. We widen gaming by opening people's minds and hopefully appeal to their empathy.
Yeah, absolutely. Well, real quick, where can they buy your book? Where can they go to pick it up?
It is available at virtually every bookstore in the United States, like the big chains. So I know that Barnes & Noble is carrying it. I know that it's on Amazon if you want to buy the ebook versions. You can get it online as well. There are a few friendly local gaming stores that have started to stock it. I've asked people to like tweet me or Facebook me to let me know if they want it or if they want to carry it, because I can put them in touch with my publisher. I definitely want to support friendly local gaming stores, so people who do let me know that the friendly local gaming store is carrying it, they get a little sweet package of like little postcards I've signed with hand notes about the book in there for them. Just because I'm a big fan of supporting the local gaming store. I find it ironic that it is on Amazon, and my publisher has encouraged me greatly to let people know to buy it on Amazon when there are sections in my book very specifically that say don't buy your games on Amazon. Like if you're going to buy online, try to buy from a smaller company online, like a mom and pop online company rather than Amazon. If you're going to buy locally, buy it at a local gaming store. If you play at a local gaming store, that's where you should be spending your money. You know, those are the things that are true to what I believe, right?
Oh,
so I definitely want to let people know if this is a book you're interested in too, and you want your local gaming store to carry it. Tell them. They might be able to find a way to get it. I know there are a lot of games distributors that are carrying it for the local gaming stores as well.
Well, that's great. I'll certainly let my local game stores know about it, and hopefully we can get some on the shelves. Well, thanks again. Jason, I have pretty much dominated this conversation. Did you have any additional questions? Sorry.
No. I just wanted to thank you for writing this book. As I've read it, like I said earlier, I've just recently moved, and so I'm having to figure out how to build my local community. And I think this is a really great book for giving those sort of pointers on building communities. So thank you.
Oh, thank you. I mean, I hope that your community thrives and is strong and comes back again, because I think that you cannot extinguish, especially when it comes to a game like 40K, you can't extinguish that love, right? It's the universe is so enthralling that no matter what happens, no matter what weird thing Games Workshop has come up with that you don't like, you will never stop loving that universe. And so finding ways for people to express that love is like what you're doing is a great thing too. So thank you for doing that.
Yeah, dude. And you know what? I think that you're going to find it. You're going to get not all the people back who left after 5th edition, but some of the people who left only left because other people left. And I think some of those people are going to be glad to see what the kind of gameplay that 7th edition fosters, and as long as you bring your good attitude to it, I think you're going to have success over there. I think it's going to be a good thing.
Well, I think after discussing the Zone Mortalis board that I'm building, I got a lot of people that were interested because they don't like those big boards where you can shoot all the way across and they don't have any sort of way of defending against it. So I'm going to figure it out.
Nice.
Because
Awesome.
I've now decided I'm going to.
All right. Well, thanks so much, Terry. We'll have a
you.
couple commercials and we'll be right back.
Thank you.
Hey everybody, check out Veterans of the Long War, a Warhammer 40K podcast on iTunes and on Facebook. We are a 40K podcast based out of Western Massachusetts with contributors from other parts of New England. We talk hobby, tactics, news, and rumors, check out new releases, and talk about our local and regional 40K scene. We're looking for new contributors, so get in touch if you want to be a part. Check us out on iTunes and Facebook. That's Veterans of the Long War, a Warhammer 40K podcast. Dallas Fort Worth Nerd Night is a community organization that throws tabletop gaming parties for charity. We believe tabletop gamers are uniquely qualified to build better local communities because of the types of relationships built while gaming. If you'd like to learn more about how you can play games and help people with DFW Nerd Night, check out www.dfwnn.org. That's www.dfwnn.org.
Welcome back. Thanks for sticking with us. So now we have a interview with Zachary Becker from the London GT. Zachary, how you doing?
I'm not bad, thanks, guys. How are you?
Super great. It's a beautiful day here in upstate New York. Chilly, but nice. Snorri, welcome to the conversation as well.
Yeah, well, here in Norway it kind of sucks because we had snow for several days and now it's all just melting away, so everything's wet.
I see. Phrasing. So, Zachary, you're holding the London GT again. You came on the show last year, and we kept on meaning to have a follow-up, and that just never happened because I'm an idiot. So, glad we could have you on. So, I take it the London GT was a success.
Yeah, I think I'm not alone in saying that we all had a great time, and fortunately it was popular enough that everyone wanted us to do it again, so we decided to.
Yeah, I mean, if you build it, they will come. I think that's a true axiom because it was gravely needed in the area, I think, and you guys fulfilled a need that was there. So tell us about the exciting things that we have coming up for 2017 because I've been sniffing some change for the better.
Yeah, exactly. I mean, I think we've all been quite aware of Games Workshop's change in attitude over the last sort of 12 months, 18 months.
Yeah.
And, this is really coming to fruition now with their support of tournaments once again. So we're very lucky to have been the recipient of their first sort of support package in the UK. I know they're supporting Adepticon and LVO and a few others in the States. But we're very much, at the moment, running at the forefront of being their sort of signature independent tournament that they want to support and help grow along with me and my crew.
That is fantastic. With that, does that come any expansion of the games that you're going to be offering at the London GT this time around, or is that still in flux?
Well, we've been working quite closely over the last couple of months with the Imperial Truth podcast. It's a 30K podcast in the UK.
Yeah, with Greg.
And this year, exactly. Yeah. So Greg's the chap I've been talking to, and we're pleased that we're able to run an event in partnership with them this year. And side by side with the 40K GT, we'll be running a narrative 30K event, which we're all excited to have. I think there's, last year we set up the London 40K GT as to fill a gap in the market in regards to there not being a large-scale competitive 40K event in this part of the country.
Yeah. And
what we found is that actually there was no large-scale 30K events either, and there was demand for it. So in parallel to the competitive 40K event, we've got a narrative 30K event, and hopefully that will do as well as the 40K event did last year. We'll sell out both events, and then next year we'll be able to grow that even bigger.
Excellent. That's awesome. So no Age of Sigmar as of yet?
As of yet is the optimal part of that sentence. So we're not doing any Age of Sigmar this year. I'm currently talking to a couple of TOs in the area, and hopefully what we're going to do in 2018 is really take the tournament to the next level. So not just add in Age of Sigmar, but also look at see how successful the relaunch of Blood Bowl is going to be, along with lots of the other specialist games. And hopefully, what we're talking about for 2018 is to really sort of not just double in size, but maybe like triple or quadruple and get a real whole scale.
Yeah, that sounds like the kind of event even people like me or other Americans would be interested in attending, because as nice as a lot of the Warhammer World events are, getting tickets can be a real nightmare sometimes, especially if it involves gaming where they have to just fill out the hall, right? So it would be nice to have something in the London area where there's lots of hotel space and you don't have to make a second trip up to Warhammer World. You get where I'm coming from. It's a lot easier for international people to visit for a London GT than it is for them to get to Nottingham.
Exactly, and I think this is what we're trying to sort of push, is the fact that the London GT isn't just a GT for those that live within 20 minutes or an hour. What we are is accessible to the whole of Europe. The East Coast States is not actually that far away.
No, it's actually a very easy flight.
Exactly, and economic at the moment with the dollar being strong against the pound. I think what we could see is, for now, we'll see what happens as of this week's news when we're recording. Obviously, it's a historic week for the States, but I'll say no more on politics for the moment.
That's a good idea. Let's do that.
Yeah, exactly. But yeah, no, we'd love to see more international gamers, and I think we will do as we grow the tournament.
Yeah, absolutely. So you say that Games Workshop is helping you out. What does that entail? Because we've been hearing some stuff from Reese and them, and I would just be interested to know, like, what kind of did they approach you, and what kind of support would you say they're offering? Like logistics, a little like terrain. What are they giving you guys?
Well, I'll start with the beginning of the question is how did it all come to happen? So we as a tournament not only focused on the weekend itself, but really before and after last year's event, tried to add as much value to our the people that came and the people that wanted to come but unfortunately couldn't, by continuing to produce content before and after via blog posts, interviews like this, statistical analysis on lists, you name it, interviews with the winners. We tried to do it, and what that Games Workshop picked up from hearing and hearing about some of this stuff is the fact that actually these events aren't just about the weekend and people rolling dice, although that's the main bit of fun. They're actually about building community spirit and getting a group of like-minded individuals together and on the same side, thinking about the game in the same perspective.
Yeah.
And with that recognition, Games Workshop have basically decided to support people that they feel are promoting the hobby and ultimately doing a bit of marketing on their behalf, sort of thing. So they approached myself a few months ago, and we were in a few discussions over the months about what that sort of support would look like. And recently, with their Facebook post announcing their support, has been the sort of flourishing of all those discussions, and there's more to come, and more announcements to come probably in the next couple of months in the new year. Mm-hmm. It's very much been a joint effort of them saying we want to get involved, how can we help, and us trying to describe to them what sort of problems we face and how we think that we can work together.
Nice.
So that's really sort of how it happened, and all credit to Games Workshop and their team, because they really care about not just the hobby and how they experience the game, but how all their customers do. And as the tournament community is a significant part of their customer base, so the fact that they care is really reflected in their sort of re-engagement that we've seen over the last few months, and hopefully we'll see for many years to come.
Yeah, and they really can't afford not to care, right?
Exactly.
Yeah.
So
go ahead.
Sorry.
Oh yeah, sorry. Yeah, I was thinking that it really gives them a golden opportunity to interact with their customers too on a whole different level than what you see in the stores that they have.
Mm-hmm.
Yes,
they can really talk about or they can really just walk around and listen to what people are talking about, what kind of frustrations they may have of course, take that with a pinch of salt at a tournament, and also just what people are excited about, both in terms of the rumors and all that stuff.
Yeah, very much. I think, a lot of people moan at tournaments about rules they don't like, but they're still there and having a good time.
Yeah, we're gonna hate on Games Workshop for not updating the Chaos Codex by then, probably. So but they know.
Yes, yeah, exactly. I mean, I don't hate on Games Workshop for much, but I really would like that new Chaos Codex, please. So if they're listening,
oh yeah.
At this point, if I were a Games Workshop, I'd be like, let's see how long we can stretch this out, because this is great.
Yeah. Well, I mean, think about all the buzz that's going on at the moment around the sisters. So I think we're all pleased to see some of the old school armies getting a bit of love.
Yeah, absolutely.
Yeah. Hey, they're relaunching Blood Bowl. That is amazing.
Yeah.
I really like that you're excited about it for your tournament also, for a potential next time.
Well, hopefully in
obviously
2018 we get some. Maybe we'll have a Battlefleet Gothic tournament.
Yeah.
Maybe.
Plastic shippies.
So wonderful.
We're interested in getting all these things back into the mainstream, back onto the tournament scene. So hopefully, they are as successful as we want them to be, because they'll definitely be represented at our event if they are.
Yeah, absolutely. Well, let's. We haven't actually put in any brass tacks at the moment. What's the location of this year's London GT and this coming year's London GT, and what's the date?
So this year we're the 13th and 14th of May.
Uh-huh.
And we are in the Westminster Academy Sports Centre. So we've got a nice big full-size basketball court indoors, nice high ceilings, nice bright lights.
A what's-ball?
Basketball.
Really?
Basketball. It's this sport where they put balls in nets.
No kidding. All right, nice.
You play?
No, I just.
Do you need gophers this year?
I don't even wait. That's like golf. That's where the Gophers are.
Yeah,
at least here in Norway, in the con scene, as in not the scam you of stuff, but the convention scene, Gophers are the people who do everything and get minimal pay.
Oh no, we don't have those guys. We've got guys that volunteer and like to help out, but no, we don't call them Gophers. We call them buddies, or part of the crew.
They call them "Thank you for your service."
We pay them in beer. That's how they get their rewards.
Well, that's the best way to pay somebody, especially in the middle of freaking London. Ugh. Anyway,
not cheap.
No, it's not. So, okay, that's awesome. Good to hear. Feel free to go ahead, and if you want to send us a spot, we'll run a spot. However, having said that, before we close out, is there anything else you want to say about the GT or something we forgot?
No, I think, all the fine details are all online. People can check us out on our website, which is www.london40kgrandtournament.co.uk.
Nice.
So for people that are interested in attending, check us out there. One thing I would say to everyone is we're not just a competitive event for the best of the best. Come down, have a good time with your orcs or your Sisters of Battle or whatever you want to play, because we've got well over 50 people that are down there just to roll some dice, have 5 great games, drink some beers with their buddies. So if you've never attended a tournament before, or if you're indeed coming from away abroad, don't feel like you need to be playing Elder and out there to win, because you'll have a good time no matter what you bring.
Nice. You know what? I just thought of one more quick thing. The 40K tournament format, is that still ETC style?
Yeah, we're very, very close to it. This year we've moved away a little bit further than we were last year, just because they've changed their army composition rules, and we have kept ours the same. So
okay, so definitely want to check that website out to see, how you want to prepare for the upcoming event.
But one thing I do commend the ETC for is they put a lot of work in behind the scenes on the FAQ, as well as making sure the missions are balanced. So we try to take the good work they've done and applaud them for it, and build our tournament off the back of that success. So it doesn't go unrecognized. And if any of those guys are listening, we thank you.
Oh yeah, absolutely. Like for the Golden Sprue Cup GT I'm throwing in January, we're we're using most of the ITC, but we still have our own specific changes for our, for our group, for our meta. So, I mean, there's nothing wrong with that, just as long as we give kudos where kudos are due, correct?
Yeah, exactly.
All right, great. Snorri, anything else? Any other questions?
No, not really.
Right,
I'm just being excited here because May is just far enough out, so I might actually make it. Combine it with a visit with Jason and the other guys in London.
Absolutely.
That would be awesome.
That's a great idea. All right, Snorri. Well, maybe we'll make some plans. We'll see. But until then, thank you so much, Zachary. I'm not sure what you prefer. Not late for dinner?
Either or. No. But thanks for having me on, guys. It's been great to talk.
Not a problem.
Hey,
bud.
maybe we can make this post GT call this year then.
Yeah, well, we definitely need to do
this year, but we'll put it in the books now for 7 months' time, and I'm sure we can get to it.
All right, dude. Talk to you later.
Thanks a lot.
Bye.
Hey everyone, this is Justin from the It Will Not Die podcast. If you love listening to podcasts that are positive and excited about the hobby, come check us out. We're on the Freebooters Network now, along with other great podcasts like The Independent Characters, 40K Radio, D6 Generation, Nerd Herders, and many more. And remember, it doesn't matter how you love the hobby, just do it.
Nailed it.
Interested in the offbeat world of 40K? Is your bits box full of 20-year-old space elves? Have you ever searched for something out of production 40K on eBay? Well, hold on to your zotes and head over to Corsair Radio. It covers the full scope of the hobby, homebrew rules, fluff, campaigns, oddball models, and more. From Terra to the Eye of Terror, visit us at corsairradio.blogspot.com. That's corsairradio.blogspot.com.
Welcome back. Due to some unforeseen circumstances, we were unable to schedule a time to record our outro. So, here we go. Just a few announcements, maybe just one or two, actually. Don't forget about the Golden Sprue Cup. You can go to the Masters of the Forge page. I think there's a link there. You can go to the Upstate Honor Guard Facebook page. And there is now a Golden Sprue Cup webpage. So, if you want to get a hold of us or contact us, or not, we're on Facebook, Twitter, and we also have our own webpage at mastersoftheforge.com. You can also, if you're so inclined, go to iTunes and leave us a nice review. Tell them how much you love me, or not. Anyways, until next time, play the game the way you want to. Nailed it.
This podcast is protected by the Creative Commons Attribution, No Derivatives, Non-Commercial International License. More information about this license and contact information if you have any requests can be found at our blog, mastersoftheforge.com. The music used in this podcast was made by Podod of the duo Sublevel 3. The track is used with his permission.
It's such a good feeling to play games your way. It's such a happy feeling 40K'ing away. And when you throw dice with story in mind, it's such a wonderful way to unwind. It's a good feeling, a very good feeling, the feeling you know that we'll be back when the fortnight's new, and we'll have new ideas for you, and you'll have things you'll want to talk about. We will too.